Turkey's President Recep Tayyip Erdogan says Ankara is opposed to Finland and Sweden joining NATO. Mr. Erdogan is also accusing the countries of failing to take a clear stance against Kurdish militants and other groups that his country considers terrorists and of imposing military sanctions on Turkey. We have more in this report.
Speaking at a joint news conference with a visiting Algerian president, President Erdogan also accused the two countries of refusing to extradite terrorists wanted by his country.
Neither country, Sweden or Finland, has an open, clear stance against terrorist organizations. Besides, throughout this process, even if they say they are against terrorist organizations, on the contrary, they have statements saying they would not extradite certain terrorists. Even if they say they will be extraditing them, we believe once bitten, twice shy. How can we believe them? Sweden is an incubation center for terrorist organizations.
The Turkish leader went on to accuse Sweden, claiming that its parliament had several legislators who were supportive of the outlawed Kurdistan Workers' Party, or PKK. The group has waged an insurgency against Turkey since 1984. The conflict has killed tens of thousands of people. Mr. Erdogan said Swedish and Finnish officials who are expected in Turkey next week should not bother if they intend to try and convince Ankara into relaxing its objection to their NATO membership. Russian President Vladimir Putin warned the West on Monday that Russia would respond if NATO began to bolster the military infrastructure of Sweden and Finland, which have both decided to join the North Atlantic Treaty Organization. Speaking at a summit marking Collective Security Treaty Organization's 30th anniversary in Moscow, Mr. Putin said Russia had no problem with Finland or Sweden, so there was no direct threat from NATO's enlargement, including those countries.
As for expansion, including through new members of the alliance, Finland and Sweden, Russia, I would like to inform you, dear colleagues, has no problems with these states. No. Therefore, in this sense, there is no immediate threat for us. Expansion at the expense of these countries for Russia. But the expansion of the military infrastructure to this territory will certainly cause our response, and we will look at what it will be based on the threat that will be created for us. That is, in fact, problems are created from scratch. Well, we will react accordingly.
As Russia's invasion of Ukraine ignites a radical development in European security and geopolitics, the action marks a formal step by Stockholm towards joining the US-led military alliance, ending decades of military neutrality. The letter will, in a couple of days, be delivered to NATO Secretary-General Jens Stoltenberg.
Let's discuss this with Collins Owinke, Global Affairs Analyst, who is joining me from Belgium via Skype. Good to have you join us.
Thank you, Precious, for having me.
So the general concern is that Moldova could become a front line in this war. So just how vulnerable are Sweden and Finland that requires NATO membership?
Well, obviously, this is a new twist in the Russian invasion of Ukraine, and that has actually sent apprehension to the capitals in Finland and in Sweden. They may not immediately be vulnerable, but there is certainly reasons for them to be concerned, because I think the feeling out there within the leadership of both countries, the political leadership is, if it could happen to Ukraine, yes, then it could happen to Finland and Sweden, and so they felt that this is the time for them to end their decades of non-military alignment. And so that was how the need for them to apply to join NATO actually came about. It's a new twist, and we'll just see how this plays out. But it's not looking pretty good.
But what we're seeing how it plays out, NATO membership is not automatic. There is an intermediary period. So if Russia was going to attack, there is an intermediary period for Russia to attack. So what then happens in that period, because you are not covered by Article 5?
Yeah, that is a great worry. However, the likelihood of Russian attack of Finland and Sweden, I mean, in the interim, is slim. Of course, I say this actually mindful of the fact that Putin is one of the most unpredictable leaders in the world. But you see, we have reasons to believe that the whole, Russian military apparatus are tied down in Ukraine. So, they don't quite have, sufficient leeway. That's number one. Number two, Putin himself has very recently said that Sweden and Finland, that they don't quite, that Moscow doesn't quite have, any problems with them. Of course, that dynamic has changed with the move, but I want to believe that while the consideration is being given to the application, if on the unlikely event that Russia actually attacks, I believe that a sort of help, sort of assistance that the world is giving to Ukraine now to be able to fight back, I believe that such will be given to Finland and Sweden.
I will get to talk in just a moment, but I want to get your thought on this, because you talked about the unpredictability of Putin. While one of his ministers was threatening fire and brimstone if Sweden and Finland will join NATO, Putin says, look, this doesn't matter to me as long as you do not expand your military infrastructure in my territory, then I will respond. How do you interpret that statement coming from Putin?
Well, how it can be interpreted is that there are three major areas where Putin might, consider very serious retaliatory actions. Number one is the area of airspace violation. Even without any provocation, we have seen how, Putin hovers around the airspace of NATO territory. Now, we are set to see that increase. That is one of the actions that he is very, very likely to take. Now, we also know the web of arsenals that Putin has in the area of cyber attack. It is likely that he will also unleash those in Finland and Sweden as part of his reaction. Now, we also know about the strategic position Russia has in the area of energy. I believe that one way or the other, they will increase the energy politics and the energy war. I believe that these are three major areas of concern, three major areas where Putin seems to have some sort of leeway to use.
So let's get to the barrier here for Sweden and Finland, which is Turkey. Turkey is saying we're not going to back the move, and that's over allegations of harboring terrorists in Sweden and Finland. But do you think that these concerns are real concerns, or this is an opportunity to make a deal coming from Recep Tayyip Erdogan?
Yeah, absolutely. Erdogan, has proven to be a very, very astute politician over the years. And take, for example, the way he was able to twist the arms of the European Union to be able to, release some financial assistance to Turkey in exchange for Turkey locking its, gates against, refugees, so that, he kind of blackmailed them into, financial payments. Otherwise, he was going to open the gates so that the European Union will be flooded with refugees. So that is one of his, that is something out of his playbook. Of course, he is a stumbling block in the application of Finland and Sweden to join him, because there need to be a consensus. And, Turkey, being a member of NATO, has actually spoken out against the membership. Now, that he mentioned terrorism, well, you can be rest assured that that is just, picking on any excuse to anchor his objection. But that objection, looking at it from a broader perspective, will indeed end up to be a ploy to be able to obtain one thing or the other that, he wants from the NATO allies. So that is, Erdogan for you.
Mm. And one cannot but wonder about Ukraine, because this is exactly what Ukraine wanted that led to the invasion. And now it looks like Sweden and Finland, who are not under immediate threat, are closer than Ukraine to getting NATO membership. How do you interpret that? What's your reaction to this?
Well, the reaction is that, obviously, I mean, it's not a cash and carry operation here. Like you said, the application, the indication that they are going to apply is something they made about a couple of days ago, if I'm not mistaken, on Sunday. I am not sure that the, actual application has been, put forward. Turkey is a stumbling block. And in the end, it might be that Turkey is a blessing here, because come to think of it, NATO expansion, I'm not sure that, most analysts will see it as a very, smart move at this point when peace and stability, is being, negotiated. So it may very well be that ultimately it will be a negotiating tool in getting Russia to actually concede to certain demands against their operations in Ukraine in exchange for non-expansion with Finland and Sweden. So I think this is another round of negotiation that the world will be getting into.
I will see how things play out, like you said earlier. Thank you so much for talking to us, as always, Global Affairs Analyst Collins Owinki.
Thank you for having me.